Hello and welcome. I'm Millicent Walker. Tonight, ahead of the 2019 general elections, the National Peace Committee steps up efforts towards peaceful conduct of the polls meets with the leadership of INEC. President Buhari asked troops fighting insurgency in the northeast to look beyond recent losses and eliminate Boko Haram from existence, commiserates with families of Metele attack victims. Federal government to reopen investigation into the oil prospecting license 245 awarded to Malibu Oil in 2011 by the previous administration. And Bank of England warns that a no-deal Brexit could send the economy of the United Kingdom into a recession worse than the financial crisis of 2008.
Well, on Business News tonight, Nigeria climbs 3 spots to 129th position at the 2018 World Prosperity Index ranking, which was released by UK-based Legatum Institute.
And on sports news tonight, reigning NPFL champions Lobi Stars of Makurdi suffered defeat in their first preliminary match for the 2019 CAF Champions League qualifiers.
And from Abuja, House of Representatives joins in the call for the declaration of state of emergency in the nation's education system to tackle the rot in the sector.
We begin tonight with an assurance from the chairman of the National Peace Committee, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, that all heads of political parties are to sign a peace accord ahead of the 2019 elections. He says the agreement signing will help play a major role towards the success of the forthcoming elections. General Abubakar was speaking at a meeting with the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Abuja.
It's just about 2 months before the general elections, and relevant government agencies and committees have been meeting to ensure that the election is a success. In this hall, members of the National Peace Committee restate their commitment towards a hitch-free exercise.
We'll do the best we can in order to help sanitize the political arena. You members of the press have also a role and a duty to educate our people and the politicians so that when they go on campaigning, they campaign on issues. And there should be quality without bitterness. There shouldn't be any rancor.
And after the opening remarks, the committee goes into a closed-door session. 1.5 hours later, the chairman of the committee speaks. He wants politicians to shun politics of bitterness and work towards the attainment of peace during and after the elections. This will be followed by signing of a peace accord by heads of political parties.
Tomorrow we are going to meet all the chairmen and secretaries of the registered political parties. The aim of the meeting with the political parties is try to reach an understanding where we'll get them at a later date to sign the memorandum of understanding of how to go on campaigning without bitterness, and for all the parties to accept the end result when finally INEC declares the election result.
The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, assures of the Commission's readiness to conduct free and fair elections in 2019.
We have told them everything that we have been doing to ensure free and fair elections, including the registration of voters, making the PVCs available for collection well ahead of the elections, and some of the issues and challenges that we are facing, for which we have sought for the support of the National Peace Committee, and with the chairman has adequately briefed you. So basically, this is a routine meeting.
Besides meeting with officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission, members of the National Peace Committee will also be meeting with the leadership of political parties. Hopefully, these steps will help ensure peaceful elections come 2019.
And now to security matters. President Muhammadu Buhari is pledging the federal government support to the military as they continue to wage war against Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast. The president was speaking in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, where he declared open this year's edition of the Chief of Army Staff Conference. President Buhari also commiserated with the army and families of the soldiers killed by the insurgents in Metele village, insisting that government will meet with leaders of Lake Chad Basin countries towards greater collaboration against terrorism.
There are two major events happening in Borno State. First is the Chief of Army Staff Conference and the monthly Lafia Dole presentation by the Nigerian Army, which was moved from Edo State in respect of the unfortunate incident which claimed the lives of many soldiers in Metele. And President Muhammadu Buhari has come here to attend the conference and galvanize his troops. The president reminds the soldiers that despite the setback, the cardinal objective of their responsibility must not be forgotten.
I know that you are doing your best to reverse this trend, and I want to assure you that no effort will be spared in providing the necessary support you require to complete the task. We remain committed to ending the crisis in the northeast and making the entire area safe for all. I urge you all to keep up the good work.
On strategy modifications, the Chief of Army Staff says the Army will make the necessary changes to ensure it does not fall short again.
We recognize that there are potent threats that require us to continually review our operations. Hence, this conference will deliberate on ways through which the Nigerian Army can continue to enhance national security.
This is backed by the Minister of Defense, who promises to support the Army with everything needed to achieve the best results.
It is imperative to state that the activities of Boko Haram are being curtailed to the barest minimum in adherence to Commander-in-Chief directives. I'm confident in the capability of our armed forces to dismiss the Boko Haram terrorists, which must be achieved soonest.
Pointing out the root causes of insurgency, the Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima is optimistic that Boko Haram can and will be defeated.
The problems of Boko Haram are complex, composite, and interwoven. And for us to solve the problem, there is a need for a holistic approach encompassing the security, the political, and the military. Beneath the mayhem of Boko Haram, Your Excellency, underneath the nihilism lies the underlying cause, which is extreme poverty. On our own part, Your Excellency, I want to assure you that we'll play our own part of the bargain. We'll support the civilian JTF. We'll support in fighting poverty. And the enabler, a precursor, and a major catalyst for development is education.
President Buhari also took time out to visit wounded soldiers receiving treatment.
Meanwhile, military authorities say they have recovered the bodies of all the soldiers killed in the attack on the Melete military base recently by Boko Haram insurgents. And that is contrary to reports that the bodies are yet to be evacuated. In a statement, the army says it sent reinforcements to the location soon after the attack and thereafter conducted a special search and rescue operation in the area. The clarification by the military authorities comes about 2 weeks after a Boko Haram splinter group, the Islamic State West African province, announced it killed dozens of soldiers in Metele, a remote village near the border with Niger Republic. Oil companies operating in Nigeria that have continuously evaded the payment of tax will soon be compelled to fulfill their obligations. This comes as the federal government announces plans to revisit the oil prospecting license 245 awarded to Malibu Oil in 2011 by the previous administration. The chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Anti-Corruption, Mr. Okoye Bono-Obla, disclosed this at an anti-corruption situation room in Abuja. He says public servants mentioned in the Panama Papers for owning offshore assets are also being investigated. The presidential candidate of the Allied Congress Party of Nigeria, Mrs. Obi Ezekwesili, has described both the All Progressives Congress and People's Democratic Party as both responsible for the huge number of poor people in the country. The ACPN candidate said this while presenting her manifesto, as well as the national chairman of the party, Abdulganiyu Galadima, as her running mate. She said while the country was listed as the one having the highest number of poor people, the ruling APC and opposition PDP were trading blames instead of proffering solutions.
Came out that Nigeria has become the world capital of poverty. I expected that the government in office would have been outraged at the condition of the citizens. Instead of being outraged, that government, which is the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, began to pass the buck and to blame others for the situation. And then their twin party, the party known as PDP, that makes up the APC-PDP family, began to throw its own blame and say we did not create any situation. Instead of worrying about the poor, they began to quarrel between themselves. When you see Siamese twins quarreling, you better know that the problem is with them. It is not with you. The Siamese twins of bad governance that created.
Let's go over to Anambra State, where traders in Nnewi town have shut down all the 8 major markets in the industrial city to protest the arrest of some of their members. The traders are demanding the unconditional release of those they claim are their colleagues who were earlier paraded by security agents as suspected members of the indigenous people of Biafra. Members of the traders' union held a peaceful protest, lamenting alleged intimidation by the police and the military, threatening to shut down business activities throughout the state.
The ever-busy Nnewi market is deserted. Shops locked, empty alleys is the picture in all of the 8 markets. This is part of a peaceful protest by the Agbejo Spare Parts Dealers Association following the arrest of some of their members who were later paraded as members of the indigenous people of Biafra. An eyewitness narrates the event.
I was outside the shop in front of the gate and my 2 boys were packing in goods into the shop. Suddenly, I saw a policeman and an army rush into the line with gun pointed at me. The policeman and the army approached forward and they suspected that that shop must be open. They now sensed and stopped and forced the shop open and commanded the boys to come out with my wife. And they captured these 2 boys aged between 17.
To show that some of those arrested are their members, the association has pasted their names on their respective shops. The chairman of the ASPDA says this will escalate if these traders are not released.
We are calling on police authorities, the Inspector General of Police, to immediately release our members. They are not IPOP members. They are legitimate. They are genuine traders doing their legitimate business in this market. And Nnewi is shortened. After this, Anambra State will join. After this, Southeast entirely will join.
While the State Commissioner for Trade and Commerce, who has been on the matter since it started, says the suspects arrested are really genuine traders in Nnewi market. The local government chairman, who was nearly hit by a stray bullet on the fateful day, decries the economic loss the shutdown is causing.
Coming to economic situation of this particular incident is a very bad thing to the state, because we are losing a lot.
So while we seek for solution to the problem, I appeal to traders to calm down, and the state government is on it already.
The traders warn that after the protest and nothing is done, the entire Anambra State traders will shut down.
In part 2, after the break, as concerns increase over the dangers posed by fake news, we'll tell you what a group is doing to tackle the menace. Please stay with us.